In this video, let's take a look at the segments MSEG. So over here, I've got a polymer instrument loaded up and it sounds like this. So what I'll do is I'll click on the modulator over here and I'm going to search for the segments. So here is the segments. I will load it up. And basically what it is it's an ADSR that you can customize the shape. So an ADSR standing for the attack, decay, release, and sustain. So it's 4 different points that flow from an envelope. And what's really the beauty of segments is that you can actually go in there and customize the shape like I mentioned. But before doing that, let's assign this to something to modulate so you can see it in action. So I'll click over here and let's go for this low pass filter. So I'll just increase that up and I'm just going to open up this view and watch when I play. So you see, as I played a different stroke of a key, you saw each point come through, and when I sustained a note, it got stuck on the sustain section. When I released a note, it got released here. So this is the attack section over here. This is the decay. This is the sustain. So it will sustain in this part until I release a key. So basically, when I've got a MIDI notes on message, it goes through this pass, then it stays here, and then on the MIDI note release, you've got this. So let's just do it with one note. I'm going to play C. So that went through the attack decay, and now it's going through the sustain section. And as I release, it releases off. Now that's the basic idea of an ADSR. But the beauty really comes in when we use the segment section to customize the shape and use some of the other features here that are within the MSEG. The most simplest things, I could take the attack and change that time. That's taking longer to reach in. I could take the decay and shorten it, or maybe make a short attack and a long decay, and maybe make a longer release. Now, another key thing about the curves view here on the segments is you get this zoom tool. So I can zoom out to see more of the length of the view, or I can zoom back in. Now, a great way to get everything to fit back in is just to double click here and it fits to view. Or I can drag up and zoom right in and then click here again to zoom back out. So let's zoom out and make a longer release. So I'm dragging it all the way out here to bar 3. So I'll hold a note down, gets in the sustain section, and as I let go, you've got that low drop off there. And obviously you can click over here and choose from the customized curves that you also saw in the curve section. So maybe going for something like this, the groove segments of 1. I'll click to open the view. Let's play a chord this time. Very interesting. So there's a super long attack and decay section with different shapes. So these are node points that have been added in. And then when it gets to the sustain section here, it is looping back and forth between there, and then there's the release. Watch this again. Maybe to see this a bit more clearly, I'm going to drag this view a bit bigger. Now let's talk more about this section over here, which is the attack section. You've got a couple of different options here where you can choose how it works. But before doing that, I just want to click on the view over here and just reset the curves. So we've got our setting here and just double click here to see everything. So this one-shot mode here, if I just play a chord, it passes through the whole thing where there's no stop for a sustain section. Then moving over to the next mode, this is the hold mode. So as it hits the sustain here, it's going to hold until I release. It's holding, and then I release. Now over here, this is going to create a loop sustain section, and it's going to loop from start to finish, and then as I let go of the keys, it's going to release. And then release. And lastly, this mode, which is the default mode that you've been seeing, is it's got its attack decay, and then it's going to loop back and forth between the sustain section before I release. So You can actually take advantage of these and really use them in very interesting ways. But the power really is the sustain section, and I can actually change the size of it by clicking here and dragging on that area to change the size. Now let's load up a different curve shape and really start experimenting with this. So I'm going to click over here and let's go for sequence and choose some crazy things. Maybe let's go for the city groove one. I'll click OK. Let's open that up. And here is the super crazy attack and decay section, and it's going to loop there. But let's rather take this and drag it out to loop over a bigger section. It's going to go back and forth. And then I can also take this depth dial and pull this down. So as you can see, it's not going all the way to the top of those notes. And then I can also smooth this out. So it's a lot smoother. You'll notice this a bit more when I increase that depth. So that's a lot smoother. If I pull the smoothing down, it's a bit more hectic between the jumps. Now I just want to show you two more things. First off, you've got this option to do poly. Now what that means, if I just play this view, I'm going to play a note, and then play another note, and then another note, and each time I do another note, it follows through on the shape of the ADSR. But if I don't do poly, if I hit a note, and then hit another note, it's going to restart both those notes from the beginning every time. So watch poly again. As opposed to with no polyphonic on. See that? So that's the poly mode. Now, one other thing I want to show you is if I click on segments and I've got the information view over here, I've got the option to have a single trigger. So what that means is if I have this unticked and I play a note and then another note, it's going to start from the beginning. But if I have single trigger and I play a note and then another note, it's going to continue where it left off from. So it's not going to re-trigger it again from the beginning. And obviously, if I choose poly and do a note, then another note, it's going to play all those notes, but it's not going to re-trigger them. So it's handy to know those. You might want to trigger your envelope in different ways. Maybe you want to trigger it every time there's a note, or maybe you don't want to trigger it. And like you saw with poly, when you're playing chords, you can have each note to start from the beginning and it plays all the different notes because it's using the poly mode. So this really is a powerful feature. And obviously, if you go into the segments, you can also modulate it to other parameters as well. So for example, let's click this and modulate this shape as well. And then maybe let's go to the noise. So I'm just going to untick this, increase the noise, modulate this, pull this down so it's going to decrease the noise. Then I'm going to go in here and let's look for a crazy shape. Let's go for this filter rhythm, click OK. So I'll open up the view and we're going to play this back. So very powerful stuff that you can go in there and create your own curve shapes for your ADSRs. Now let's check out some of the other MSEGs.